Hello, welcome back. And as always, as a reminder, you are loved. Thank you so much for your time. I do not take that for granted. I do truly appreciate that you take the time to engage and, we can all learn something from each other. So thank you so much. Today, I'm going to segue a little bit from the conversations that we've been having, but it's all going to tie together. I know we've been talking a lot about, our mindsets, setting goals, and overall how it all ties together into the progress that we are going to be able to make on a day-to-day basis. And this week, I came across a song, and, the lyrics had a really probing question. Like, who told you so? Like, who told you that you cannot be able to achieve your goals? Who told you you cannot be able to achieve your dreams? Who told you? Because sometimes we tend to look down on ourselves or even think less of ourselves or think like some things are meant for other people and that we cannot be able to reach those targets, that we cannot be able to reach those places, or, that we cannot have that job, that you cannot have the house, that you cannot have a certain kind of life. Because we've looked down on ourselves and told ourselves that we cannot be able to achieve those goals. So the who told you so, it really hit me in a way. And when I was praying, God reminded me of this story. It's in 2 Kings chapter 6 and 7. It's about the drought that was in Samaria. And at some point, the prophet said these words: by this time tomorrow, the food would be available, that it would be going at a very cheap price compared to what it was. And a captain that was, there with the king, listening to what this prophet of God talking about, he doubted. He questioned, like, how can that be possible? Because he was looking around, there's drought all over the place, the whole country, there's no hope for food, how can it be possible? Like, for example, in current day, right? Like the cost of living is so high, and somebody just comes and says, let's give an example over here. Eggs are so expensive, right? Like eggs are like the baseline of how expensive things are. Well, true. Or like, let's say the price of gas right now. A gallon is almost going up to $4 now, and that's for regular. Premium, more expensive. So let's say somebody comes and says that by this time tomorrow, the price of gas is gonna be like 50 cents a gallon. And in your mind, you're like, how is that possible with everything that's going on, with the war that is going on between America and Iran? Like, how can that, like, it's feasibly in the mind of human, it's like not possible. And because he chose to doubt what the prophet of God was saying. The prophet of God told him that you're gonna see it with your own eyes, but you're not gonna partake of it. You're not gonna partake of this miracle because he chose to doubt and question. And I think so many times in our life we do that. We are looking at our circumstances and we're like, how can it be possible that my situation is gonna change? Like, by this time tomorrow, how? How can by this time tomorrow, maybe a dozen of eggs would be 50 cents, or 25 cents, or the price of gallon could be 25 cents. The price of gas, a gallon would be 25 cents. How can it be possible? Or it could be a different situation. You could be sick, could be looking for a job, it could be financial situation. It could be a lot of things going on in your life, and you're wondering, how can by this time tomorrow my miracle happen? But it is possible, because I think about how God works in our lives, and I have to remind myself, like, my position is not to try and figure out like how God is going to deliver the miracle, because it's beyond my understanding. Our God is beyond our understanding, that we cannot be able to perceive how it will all come together. We cannot be able to do that, and it's torture. And when we try to to think of, like, how the miracle is supposed to happen, we tend to put ourselves into what the Bible calls the works of the flesh, right? Like, you're trying to go ahead of God and try and fix a situation, try and bring the solution, in which sense that's not how God would have done it, and at the end of the day, we end up in so much agony and so much pain when we shouldn't have. And so it happened that there were 4 lepers. So these 4 lepers, going back to 2 Kings chapter 7. So these 4 lepers, they were just sitting there and thinking to themselves, you know what? If we stay here, we're going to die. If we go inside Samaria, there's no food there, so we're gonna die either way. So we might as well go into the Syrian camp and see what's going on there. There may be food. If they catch us, we would die too. So their options were limited. They didn't have a lot of options. And another thing too, in life, I think of our encounters with people who have nothing to lose. Those are dangerous people. As you go about life, be careful who you're interacting with, because people who have nothing to lose can be very dangerous, because they fear nothing. They have nothing to lose, right? So they can do whatever and think they're gonna get away with it. So so these 4 lepers, they took on the journey. They went to the Syrian camp, and it happened that, our God is so good. As they were going there, God amplified their steps. Their steps, they sounded like chariots were, heading towards the Syrian camp. That's what the Syrians heard. They heard the sound of chariots, and they were terrified. They were terrified because they thought there was this big army that was coming after them, and they fled. They took off. They didn't have time to take the things that, they had with them. They just fled. They left everything. And when the 4 lepers got there, guess what? They found food. They found all the spoils. They had more than they could be able to, eat for themselves. And that's the other thing too, when we talk about taking steps, you see how faithful God is, that when you take that first step, do you see how God amplifies your steps? Like how God amplifies, whether it's your steps towards your goals. Like, let's say you want to go to the gym and you decide to take that one step, and you trust in God that He's going to give you that will, that desire to be able to achieve that goal. Or if it's going back to school, or if it's starting your own business, or whatever your journey, your life may look like, taking that step of faith, not knowing what you're going to find on the other side, that God amplifies your steps. And amplifying your steps could mean provision. It could mean help. It could mean the strength, the mental capacity to be able to take it all in and to be able to keep pushing. That's how faithful our God is. So don't be afraid to take those steps. Don't be afraid to keep pushing. Don't let fear push you down. Don't let anything come between you and the goals that you have for yourself. As long as what you're doing is to the glory and honor of God, if it's not out of like selfish, ambition or selfish motives, God is going to be there to amplify that one step. And He's going to help you to keep on compounding your steps. Our God is so faithful. He is so merciful. And, let us learn how to lean on and to lean into, the plans that He has for us, because He says that they are plans for good. They are plans to give us a hope and a future. And so these 4 lepers, they're there, they ate, and, they were thinking to themselves, what we are doing here is not right. Let us go back and tell the king what we found. And that's what they did. They went back, they told the king what they found. The king and the people, they went back, and true to what prophet had said, that by this time tomorrow there will be so much food, it will be so cheap, And yeah, that is exactly what happened. And this captain, he heard about it, but he did not get to partake of it. You know, there was a stampede as people were heading out of the gate, and his story ended there. And you know, this is just a beautiful reminder, you know, to build on our faith, to trust God, to ask him to help our doubt, to help our unbelief, you know, believe and help my unbelief. Have faith. He said that it takes, you know, faith as small as a mustard seed to say to this mountain, move, and the mountain shall be moved. That this mountain, that the mountain that you may be facing, it is nothing but a mere molehill. Nothing but a mere molehill before our God. So keep your head up, keep your faith, keep going. You know, take that first step. Remember that God is gonna help amplify the step. You know, have faith, believe God for the impossible, believe God for every day, not just the impossible, but every day. Remember to thank him for the life that he has given you. Remember to thank him for everything that, you know, you have, your life, you know, your family, your friends, the resources that he's provided for you. Remember to be grateful for everything. And remember that he says to go before him with thanksgiving. So take on a posture of gratitude. And I hope that, you know, remain at peace, remain blessed, remain confident, and feel encouraged. And don't amplify the voice of the enemy. Remember that you are a child of God, that you have everything that it takes to be all that he created you to become. Thank you. Be blessed and have a good one. Bye-bye.